Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it. Welcome to Undisputed as we celebrate Memorial Day with you. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great, Jenny. I'm enjoying this Memorial Day weekend, and to all the servicemen and women out there that gave their life for this country, thank you. And to all the current men and women that's still supporting this country and fighting for this country, I say from the bottom of my heart, thank you again.
I echo the remarks of my partner, Shannon Sharpe, and I would like to add that, ho-hum, Tom Brady makes another miracle on another Sunday afternoon. Who knew?
Yeah. Didn't it remind you of something like in Philly? He had a great game, but old Nick Foles did show him up, the old Philly special.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I figured we would go there, and we have a packed show today, so much to get to, but I figured we would begin by discussing Dak Prescott and his future with the Cowboys, because a recent study of quarterback salaries has shown that if you want to reach a Super Bowl, you shouldn't devote more than 14.3% of your salary cap percentage to your quarterback. That would mean the Cowboys couldn't pay Dak Prescott more than $31 million a year. Shannon, I feel like you're going to be fired up about this. Is there any validity to it?
Absolutely not. Jenny, you know, the thing is that the Cowboys could have had this done a long time ago. So let me ask you a question for this article. So when Dak in 2016 made 0.4%, and 0.4 in 2017, and 0.4 in 2018, and 1.1 last year, where was that? So he was vastly under 14%. And what did it get him? Where's the Super Bowl ring, Skip? Where's the Lombardi? Now, I see one in my background over there, Skip. Where was the Super Bowl trophy? Because, see, now Dak says, okay, I'm only supposed to make up a little over 14% of the cap. So what happens if I give you guys a discount? We don't make the Super Bowl. So let me ask you a question, Jerry. In the next contract, are you going to repay that money that I lost? Because I've given you a substantial discount over the last 4 years, and we haven't won a Super Bowl. No, but where's this article mentioned, Skip, that you know what, the quarterback should always get at least 5% of the money? No, you signed a contract. You know, he was paid according to the way he was drafted. Now he's a franchise quarterback. Now he's 27 and free. Now you want to cap the amount of money that I can make, while you suppressed on the front end the amount of money I can make. Skip, this is so utterly ridiculous. A 27-year-old franchise quarterback, Skip, is always going to get the lion's share of the money. You and I both know, Skip, no matter what you think about it, Jared Goff makes more money than Aaron Donald. Jared Goff isn't half the player of Aaron Donald. He just plays a position that is deemed more valuable than Aaron Donald. So based on that, and his age and what he's been able to accomplish, he makes the lion's share of the money on the team. That's just the way it works. Now, this article also mentioned that 80% of the 2021 cap is already spoken for. How the hell is that Dak's problem? Because Jerry and Stephen Jones, Skip, I give you money, you go out there and blow it and say, well, Shadow, I'm out of money. That's not Dak's problem. You should have thought about that. You paid everybody else. You made sure everyone else has gotten market value. Now it comes time for Dak. You can only make 14%. That's not Dak's fault. You should have thought about that. And this is what happens, Skip, when you get a guy. What normally happens is that you get a guy on his rookie contract and you cash in. Skip, remember that's what Seattle did. Seattle not only had Russell on the rookie contract, they had Richard Sherman, they had Bobby Wagner. They had a lot of their core guys on rookie contract. They go to win a Super Bowl. Now, this thing could have really played off had they not done that bonehead play. But getting to winning one and getting to another, Skip, it looks like, okay, that was a pretty good deal. Because you know that balloon payment is going to come due, Skip. You know a franchise quarterback, 26, 27, Pat Mahomes is going to come due. Now, the thing that the Kansas City have working in their favor, they've already won one. So this is going to be a great thing. So he's going to get his money. But Skip, I put nothing in this. This is not Dak Prescott's fault. This is not Dak Prescott's responsibility to manage the Cowboys cap after they allotted 80% of next year's cap to guys and Dak still hasn't gotten paid. This is bull jive.
So my first question to you, Mr. Sharpe, is you and everybody else keep saying, and it was the first words out of your mouth, this should have been done a long time ago. So explain to me how a year and a half ago, Jerry Jones should have caved in and said, you want $40 million a year? I'll give you $40 million a year. Help me out. Please explain, why should he have done that a year and a half ago when they were asking for out-of-bounds, outrageous money, and they still are?
But here's the thing, though, Skip, is that what you have to factor in with Dak is Dak does not have a first round salary. So in other words, he doesn't get that fifth year option. So Skip, in order for him to give that up, you're going to have to compensate him. You're going to have to come to him and give him a deal that he can't refuse. And even then, it might be overpriced, Skip. You might say, he's not worth that. But you have to be willing to give that up. Because if you let him get to the end of that contract, Skip, this is the dilemma that you're going to run into.
Okay, now back to your big picture point. This is exactly what Stephen Jones keeps talking about publicly. And you keep saying, oh, they're just trying to negotiate publicly. They're going to try to back Dak into a public corner. Baloney! He's just stating facts. He is warning his customers, his fans, Cowboy Nation, that if we do cave in and give Dak as much as he is asking for, the history of this screams we will not be able to win big carrying that chunk of money under our salary cap. So let's go back to this study by ESPN. So it says that 11 of the 60 quarterbacks who started a playoff game over the last 5 years have made more than 14% of their team's salary cap. And yet only one of those 11, only one, even made it to a Super Bowl, and that was Matt Ryan. And of course, he blew a Super Bowl to Tom Brady and company. So not one player on that list, 11 out of 60, over 14% of the cap, has won a Super Bowl. Well, that's just horrifying to me, because if we look at Dak right now, he would make 14.3% of the cap if he just accepts the franchise tag. That's $31.4 million, and that would be 14.3% of the cap. But Dak doesn't want the franchise tag. And let's go now to what is on the table for Dak. He could snap his fingers today and have, they're guesstimating, if I go by the reports, 35 or 36 million a year. Somewhere in there is sitting on the table for Dak Prescott right now. Well, guess what, Shannon Sharpe? If we look at this table, quarterbacks who made the playoffs over the last 5 years, that would jettison, that would rocket Dak Prescott all the way to the top of the list. That would be beyond what Andrew Luck made in 2018, which was 18.5% of the Indianapolis Colts salary cap. That would make Dak go beyond that. He would be at the very top of this list, and that's just if he took the money Jerry has already offered. Now, let's get to what I believe he is demanding, which is 40+ million a year. Guess what, Shannon Sharpe? That would rocket him beyond Andrew Luck into the 20% category. 20%, that's outrageous. That's so much, that's such a huge chunk of your cap that, as they call Dallas, Texas, Big D, you know what it would stand for at that point, Shannon Sharpe? Big done. We would have no chance if Dak Prescott was making 40+ million and over 20% of the cap to have any shot at this. And now for the killer. You keep saying that Dak and his new agent, Todd France, have to keep ahead of the advancing salary cap, the increasing salary cap. Well, guess what? With this pandemic, there's a huge chance the cap is going to decrease in 2021. Adam Schefter has already reported that there's speculation that it could decrease by as much as 70 to 80 million. And this survey that Jenny just referred to, bottom line of the survey is, if there's a big decrease in the salary cap, that would move a massive Prescott extension from problematic to disastrous. Cap goes down, Dak's up over $40 million. You can't win because you can't support him. You can't give him the supporting cast that right now has some people projecting Dak Prescott to be the MVP of this league. It's because of who's around him. I love Dak Prescott. I think he's the 10th best quarterback in the league. I do not think he's better than Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson or even Lamar Jackson after one big year that was an MVP year. I do not. I love him, but I can't abide you saying, pay the man. Because as Stephen Jones said, he told Pro Football Talk a couple of weeks ago, he says, I know at the end of the day, everybody's out there saying, how have you not paid Dak? And he goes on to say, this is not something where Jerry and myself are trying to save money so the Cowboys can make more money for the Jones family. This, says Stephen, is about a hard and fast salary cap that every owner has exactly the same amount of. And Stephen's final point is, there's all sorts of analytics out there that show you if your quarterback takes up too big a percentage of your salary cap, that it decreases your chances to win. Bingo! That's it. It's as simple as that. They have offered an extremely fair market value contract for a very good young quarterback, the face of the franchise. But if he wants 40, we can't win with 40. Then Dak wins, we lose. I'm sorry, these numbers scream, don't do it.
Okay, let me ask you a question, Skip. So when Dak was 0.4, 0.4, 0.4, 1.1, where you still haven't shown me the Super Bowl trophy that you won when he was taking up 1% or less of your cap. Where is that trophy? So there's no guarantee that you're going to win a trophy if he's taking up less than 1%. There's no guarantee that if he takes up over 14%. So why the hell am I giving you a discount? There are no guarantees. So if there are no guarantees, I'm going to get my money. Let me ask you this. Adam Schefter said this cap might go down by 70, 80 million. What if the cap doesn't go down by 70, 80 million and Dak Prescott is giving Jerry Jones a discount? Skip, are Jerry and Steven going to give Dak that money back that they assumed the cap was going to go down? I just need a simple yes or a simple no.
Well, obviously not. But how do you know it won't go down? I need a simple yes or no. Will it or will it not, Shannon Sharpe? A simple yes or a simple no? Come on, give me one.
Skip, obviously. Hold on. Wait a minute now. Hold on. So I just want to make sure. So that means Shanks and these other executives are not working on TV extensions for the NFL. Are they not going to show the games in this pandemic? Yes, they know. All I need is a simple yes or a simple no. Will they show the games in this pandemic?
I hope so.
You know so.
Yeah.
There ain't no hope. You know. So this is, Skip, all I'm saying Shannon, is this. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Then one last point from this survey that we're referring to. It also throws in the fact that I'll just quote from the survey. There really is no hiding how poorly Dak Prescott has played against good opponents in his first 4 seasons. So it's got another chart. Against teams that won 9 or fewer games over his first 4 years, Dak's pretty great. He's 35-11. He's got 75 touchdown passes to only 17 interceptions. That is sensational. But wait a second. The Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe has always told me empty calories, garbage time, bad teams, take advantage of. Yeah. So we go to the other side of the chart. Against teams that won 10 or more games over his first 4 years in the NFL, Dak is 5-13. Touchdowns, 22. Interceptions, 19. Not very great. Hard to sell to Jerry and Steven right now that you're a top-flight quarterback, that you're beyond Mahomes, beyond Deshaun, beyond Lamar, or for that matter, beyond Tom Brady and Drew Brees. In his first 4 years, I never said to you, This guy is better than Tom Brady. This guy is better than Drew Brees. I didn't say that.
You said Brady.
I thought he was a steal of a deal. I said Brady-esque. He's a steal of a deal from the 4th round. I loved him at Mississippi State. Go back and check the tapes if I didn't often just rhapsodize about Dak Prescott at Mississippi State. Go check it out. I told you after his first preseason game out here in Los Angeles at the Coliseum against the Rams on a Saturday night, that guy can play. That guy's going to be better than Tony Romo, and he quickly was. But I never said top of the list. I never said $40 million a year like that. I'm sorry, there has to be some realistic expectation here, some realistic compromise going on. The money on the table right now is really, really good. His weaponry right now is really, really good. His 12 national TV commercials, because he's the quarterback of America's team, is really, really, really good. It's a great spot for Dak Prescott, and he should compromise and accept what's on the table so that this team can start winning Super Bowls, plural.
Skip, all these arguments that you in this article and Jerry and Steven are making, I've been making for 4 years. But you, Jerry and Steven, and a lot of these articles didn't want to hear them. Now, all of a sudden, it's time for him to get paid. Because, see, I guess you guys looking at it, well, that's okay because we're only paying him $400,000. But now he's 27. Now he's started every single game of his professional career. He's taken you to 2 division titles. He's won Rookie of the Year. Now it's time for him to hit that payday. Now all of a sudden you want to go to these next-gen stats. You want to go peel a layer back. It used to be about wins and losses. Did the guy win? Did he lose? And Dak has more wins than he has losses. If I'm not mistaken, he's pretty comparable over the last 3 or 4 years to only a handful of guys has more wins than Dak. Maybe Russell Wilson, not Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. That's it. But now y'all don't want that. Now you want, Skip. When Skip was trying to make his point, what about these tight throw windows? What about these plus 20-yard throws? He's this and that. Now when it comes down to get that money, man, y'all need to find me a stat that shows Dak is not very good. Y'all need to find me another stat that says this and that. When I was saying this over the last 4 years, all you told me, all Steven and Jerry and Cowboys fans told me, what about the wins? The hot L's or hot dubs? That's what we want, Shan. That's what we want. Now, he give you them he give you these dubs, you don't want them.
Shannon, no one's talking about throwing Dak Prescott in the poorhouse. We're talking about a deal on the table right now that would make him the top paid player, the top paid quarterback in pro football. I don't know what more you want. You want to project out 2-3 years. Will this get rendered obsolete? Will it get rendered the 4th or 5th best deal? That's what's going to happen. Yeah. And that's really good, and that's really fair and equitable to both sides. The money on the table is huge. You keep discounting it like they're just shaming Dak Prescott when they're offering him beyond market value, and you can't accept it because you want my salary cap wrecked. You want my Dallas Cowboys in salary cap hell for the next 5 years so that we have no chance at winning a Super Bowl, and you can be happy about it. It's as simple as that.
Skip, if you don't mind me asking, why should I accept the same amount of guaranteed money as Jared Goff got when Jared Goff has another year left on his deal? Now, if Dak would have signed last year, Dak would have had he'd have been going into his 4th year, which was the final year of that contract. Jared Goff and Carson Wentz had 5th-year options that the team had picked up. So the 4-year to 5-year extension that they signed actually made it a 5 or 6-year deal. Dak Prescott has no more years on that contract. So why would I take the same amount of guaranteed money as Jared Goff? Now, I've read reports where the money is less than what Jared Goff got in guaranteed money. I'm not talking about fully guaranteed. I'm just talking about guaranteed money. So why would I take less guaranteed money with Jared Goff when I'm at the very end of my contract, and before Jared Goff gets to his new money, he has to play this 5th-year option? I ain't got no option. I'm free. I'm sitting over here chilling. So y'all need to come make me feel better. And right now, I don't feel good.
I have also read reports that the guaranteed money is beyond Jared Goff.
I feel less than appreciated.
Yeah, right. You do. Right now, the Rams are really shaky with Jared Goff. And right now, the Eagles, your Eagles, are even shakier with Carson Wentz because I think they just drafted a quarterback in the second round that they think might beat him out sooner than later. That's how much they believe in Carson Wentz. So Jared Goff, Carson Wentz got way overpaid, and I still say Jerry has a deal on the table beyond what either one of those overachievers got paid, and now they're looking like underachievers to me.
You look at Jared, you look at Carson Wentz, and okay, they draft a quarterback in the second round because you say they don't believe in him. Okay, well, you're not giving me the money that I think I'm worth. That shows you don't believe in me because now all I hear is you and Stephen Jones talking about is Andy Dalton. Oh, we got Andy Dalton. I sleep real easy at night. Jerry and I sleep real easy. Skip Bayless talking about Andy Dalton in his first 5 years. He went to the playoffs, had 50 wins, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Well, let's go to y'all need to go try to win a Lombardi. Because all I'm saying is this. Let's boil it down to its simplest form. When Dak Prescott was counting 1% or less against the cap, you didn't get to or you didn't win a Super Bowl. Now you're saying the reason why you did. What was the reason why you didn't then, Skip? Oh, let me guess, you didn't have enough
because
talent.
He's not Tom Brady. How about that?
And that number
he's
one
not
offensive
Tom
line,
Brady.
that wasn't enough. Huh? But Skip, you have to understand, everybody is not going to give you a discount like Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady said, well, where is Bill Belichick? Where is he? He said, where is Mr. Kraft? Where is Mr. Kraft? Every time something happens in Dallas, he's not in front of a microphone telling what we should have done or what we shouldn't have done. Where's Bill Belichick? Because it's been reported that Bill Belichick makes north of $15 million a year. So I don't see Belichick. So why y'all keep talking about Tom Brady? Because I don't see Belichick and I don't see Bob Kraft.
Well, they don't count against the salary cap, unfortunately.
All I'm saying is that they have a proven history over the last quarter century of getting to and winning Super Bowls. Where is your proven history over the last quarter century of getting to and winning Super Bowl? Jerry and Stephen Jones, coaches that the Cowboys have had. Now, Tony Romo, Skip, how much did Tony Romo count against the cap when he got that big deal? And how many Super Bowl appearances did he have? And Jerry Jones didn't bat an eye. He didn't blink once.
Yep.
Now, all of a sudden, it's Dak's turn to get payday. Oh, man, you can only pay him so much.
Okay, but Dak Prescott has won one playoff game in his life. He's 1-2 in the postseason. So where are all those Super Bowls? He wasn't good enough to take us there. It's as simple as that. He's really good, but he's not that good.
Hold on. How many playoff wins does Tony Romo have in 13 years? I feel very comfortable in saying Dak Prescott will have more playoff wins if he plays 13 seasons than Tony Romo had. Do you feel comfortable saying no? 50 cases will do right now.
Well,
that Dak Prescott will have more playoff wins than Tony Romo when his career is over. 50 cases.
This from the man who's told me repeatedly, Dak Prescott is below average. That's what Shannon Sharpe has always told me.
I'm just saying, you like Tony Romo. 50 cases saying Dak going to have more playoff
I don't
wins.
like Tony Romo. I don't have any use for Tony Romo.
But he got paid. Let Dak get his money.
He didn't get top quarterback
50 cases
money.
of due. Unrealistic. Shannon, he's not going to go for that, let's be honest.
No mercy.
Despite dealing with a lot of rainfall, Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning were able to fend off Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady in the Capital One Challenge to raise money for COVID-19. Now, I want to start with you, Skip. It was so awesome to have something to watch and see. What was your biggest takeaway from what you saw yesterday?
Shannon Sharpe, takeaway number one. If, in fact, this event raised $20 million for charity, for a COVID-19 charity, then all my hats behind me are off. I take all my hats off to that. Takeaway number two, to Jenny's point, that was the most I've been entertained by live sports since that last night of the NBA, and it was a sight for sore eyes. And I just congratulate all four participants, and I thank all four for entertaining me for about 5 hours yesterday afternoon. Takeaway number 3 is my big golf takeaway. If Tom Brady is, as they said going into the match, an 8 handicap, then I am Tiger Woods. Tom Brady is not an 8 handicap. Tom Brady spent much of the front 9 looking like he'd never, ever played golf in his life. He had what's called, if you know golf, he had the shanks. These demons get in your head where every shot either squirts straight right or you try to overcompensate and you just hit pull hooks. Out of bounds left, out of bounds right. I've never seen anything quite like it. And Tom Brady, I guess, cannot hit a driver because on a golf course that was playing very long, it's Tiger's home course called the Medalist. And even though Tom and Peyton were playing from a little shorter tees, it was raining. It rained all day. The golf course was playing long. And if you can't hit your driver, you are dead. Because Tom kept trying to hit a 3-wood. He couldn't hit that to save his life. And then he tried to hit this weird driving iron, and he could mainly get that down the middle a little bit, but it looked like it was going 150 yards. So now we get to hole number 7, and it got so bad he hit another shank out of bounds, another lost ball penalty. Charles Barkley, who is absolutely the worst golfer in the history of the world, even Charles doing commentary, jumped all over Tom Brady because Tom could hear him in his ear and said, he challenged Tom to play Charles. And Charles said, I'm going to give you strokes when we play. And finally, Tom Brady got mad. Finally, Psycho Tom came out. And all of a sudden, as he was hitting his 3rd shot to a par 4, Tom Brady from about 100 yards with a wedge hits a shot on which his audio pack flies off, his pants rip at the butt, and the ball flies and flies and flies and hits about 3 feet to the left past the hole, checks up, starts to spin and takes the hill to the right, the break to the right, and snakes right in the cup. It was the shot of the day. Under the circumstances, it's one of the greatest shots I've ever seen in my life under some kind of pressure. And Tom Brady strikes again. Brooks Koepka had bet $100,000 for charity that Tom couldn't make a par on the front 9. Well, obviously, that was a birdie, so that was better than a par. So Brooks Koepka lost that bet. So in the end, Tom Brady then sort of redeemed himself. He made a long eagle putt off a good shot by Phil Mickelson. He had another great shot to a par 3 on 16 that was about 5 feet away. But guess what? Peyton Manning hit a better shot on 16. Peyton Manning outplayed Tom Brady and outclutched Tom Brady all day long. Peyton Manning made 2 long birdie putts on the front 9 that gave them their advantage that they hung on to be one up at the end. And on 18, Peyton Manning hit the clutch shot of the day because they're playing alternate shot. And he had to hit the shot to the green, and it was like a 5-iron from, 170 or 80 yards. And Peyton Manning, there's lake to the right. Most amateurs find the lake to the right, especially under pressure. Peyton Manning hit a rope. He hits a little hook and hooked it right into the middle of the green. That won the match for them. Then Tiger, as usual, hit a beautiful approach putt, and the match was over. But Peyton Manning won this battle. And the only good news about yesterday was Charles Barkley did report that he saw Tom in the parking lot before the match, running wind sprints and doing exercises for football in the parking lot. So at least Tom Brady did not practice much for this. At least he didn't pull a Tony Romo the way Tony used to just obsess with golf in the offseason, trying to qualify for the U.S. Open to the detriment of his football. So now, Tom, go back to doing what you went to Tampa to do, which is win a Super Bowl.
Well, Skip, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think he tweeted that he had fun doing that, but back to his day job now. And so, he's a lot better at his day job than he was when he was moonlighting trying to do yesterday. Skip, but to echo what you just said, to raise $20 million for what we have going on in America, that was unbelievable. Because what they did, Skip, they have donated their original purse. And then on top of that, throughout the course, they raised another $10 million. But Skip, what I got is that Tiger Woods looks good. Tiger Woods didn't miss a fairway, Skip. If I'm not mistaken, he hit one bad shot. And that was what, I think the 16th on the par 3, because he was farthest away from the pin.
Yeah.
So he hit one bad shot the entire day. And I get it, Skip. That's his home course. He spends a lot of time. But I thought he drove the ball, Skip, because you know, Skip, he's been struggling a little bit with that driver over the last couple of years. But he looked unbelievable yesterday. He looked extremely relaxed. I like Skip. Maybe golf should do that. Put earpieces in the guys' ears so we can have a little conversation with them going back and forth. Mm-hmm. Peyton got it started early, Skip, because they asked Peyton, well, you know what, Peyton, if you could have a caddy, who would you like to see your caddy? And Peyton was thinking about that. He already thought about this, Skip. He's like, you know what? I thought about having Eli as my caddy. And then I was like, well, maybe I should have Nick Foles. But thought came to me that was better than both of them. Bill Belichick. So he started the trash talking early, Skip, early and often. But, Skip, it just goes to show, and I agree with you. I was talking to my brother. He's like, there's no way in hell Tom Brady's an 8 handicap. Now, my brother's an avid golfer, Skip. You know he plays all the time. He's about a 1 or a 2.
Good player.
So, but he plays golf all the time. He's like, there's no way in hell Tom Brady is an 8 handicap. But that being said, I'm still taking Tom Brady over Charles Barkley. That's what I will do. Yeah. Charles is not beating anybody. Anybody that plays golf at least 10 times a year, Charles Barkley can't beat them. Charles is awful. There's no way around that, Skip. But you mentioned that Tom hit that shot. Skip, talking to my brother, the one thing that you shouldn't do when you play golf is to be angry. Tom got angry and hold out. Yeah. I mean, you don't see that. The thing that pro golfers can do is that they can correct themselves. They've been doing this like Tom in a game, Skip. If he's high, he's low, Tom Brady can make the necessary adjustments in a game because he's been playing so long. Well, it's hard for Tom to make adjustments on the golf course because he doesn't know, he doesn't play enough to know, like, what am I doing? And you hear Jake Skip for the first time. I'm listening because I want to hear Charles, because I know Charles is going to be talking junk in guys' ear. And I want to hear, the adjustment. JT's like, well, he's pulling out of it too quick. He needs to do this and he needs to do that. Well, Tom Brady doesn't play enough to have that kind of a feel. But Skip, what I learned yesterday, and I hope the people at home watched yesterday, Tom Brady can make a case he's the greatest football player ever. Peyton Manning is not far behind. But you see how hard it is when great athletes try to go to another sport and look how they look. So let that sink in for a second. Because guess what? Phil and Peyton, if you put cleats and helmets and shoulder pads on them and ask them to go run routes, they're going to look just like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning did on the golf course. So it's not easy. Just because someone is great at one sport, you better stop thinking, oh, he a great athlete. He could have done this. No, he can't. It's not as easy as you think it is. And you saw yesterday, two of the all-time great NFL players. Skip, they look like, and I read my time like I'm trending. Man, they're not any better than what I am. I can do what Peyton and Tom are doing. And that's what you saw. The guys that do this for a living play golf, they make it look easy, just like Peyton and Tom made playing quarterback look easy.
That is true. Shannon Sharpe, I've always told you, golf is the hardest game in the world. It comes and goes inexplicably, and if it goes during a round, it's almost impossible to fix it on the fly. You have to calm down, get away, go to the driving range, maybe have a lesson. You need to get out of your head and out of your body and out of the moment and from under the pressure to fix it. That's why it was remarkable to me that Brady hit any good shots. I don't think if he had played his own ball the whole way, I don't think he would have broken 100 at the Medalist. And somebody said that he'd shot 106 there at one point. He looked like he's a 100 shooter to me. But in the end, this is why I have so much respect for what Tiger Woods did to golf, starting with that 1997 Masters. Shannon, the point is, Tiger Woods has struggled with his driver since 1997. It's always been his strength and his weakness all at the same time.
Yes.
He never could hit it very straight consistently. Yesterday, and there was some pressure involved because remember, he had national TV revenge pressure because Phil had beaten him head-to-head in the first exhibition they played last fall in Las Vegas. So there's pride on the line. It's televised nationally. A whole lot of people don't have anything else to do but watch this quote-unquote silly exhibition match yesterday. But Tiger Woods did not miss a fairway. And you said he missed one shot. That shot on that par 3 on 16, he was still 20 feet away. It was a decent shot by his standards. It's just that they had hit 3 sensational shots ahead of him. So obviously he was away, but he still had a makeable birdie putt to me. That's the best. Yeah, that's the best I've ever seen Tiger drive it for 18 holes. The best. And Shannon, allow me to say, he looked supremely fit. He looked like he had lost a little weight through the quarantine.
Yes.
His back looked like it was completely flexible and fluid. He had no limitations of movement at all or limits to his swing. He was hitting long irons just effortlessly. That guy at age 44, he's about a year and a half older than Tom Brady, that guy looked like he has another major or maybe 2 majors left in that body of his before 50. Again, can he catch Jack? It's 18 to 15 for Tiger. Probably not, highly doubtful. But could he win 1 or maybe 2 more? Boy, that guy yesterday looked like he can win a couple of majors to me.
Especially Augusta. Skip, I think his game is best suited for Augusta. I don't know. Maybe the links, Skip, maybe the open links course where he doesn't have to use the driver that much. He can use use fairway woods and things of that nature. So something like that, Skip. But he played unbelievable yesterday. But the reason I say he missed the shot, if we have a throwing contest, I'm not expecting Phil and Tiger to beat Tom in any of them. If they throw him from 15 yards out, 20 yards, 50 yards out, if they throwing the ball into the bucket, I do not expect Tiger and Phil to throw the ball in the bucket before Tom and Peyton throws the ball in the bucket. So that was my only point, Skip. But like you said, if you think about it, Skip, and like you said, if Tom would have had to have played his ball for the entirety of the match, you might have been on course for 100. Because the thing is, Skip, we've seen pros lose it and can't get it back. Skip, that's what happened to Greg Norman at the 96 Masters. Skip, he had a 6-shot lead and he blows up because he can't get it back. So you definitely don't expect the guy. How many times you think Tom plays a year, Skip? 10, 15, maybe? So you expect the guy that plays golf 10, 15 times a year to be able to recognize what he's doing wrong, correct it mid-match, and to fix it. No, that's not going to happen. But it's great to have Tiger and Phil coaching you through it. Hit it at this speed. You want to aim it right there. That definitely helps, Skip.
No, I agree. No, it does. Last quick point. You said on the golf course you can't get angry, you can't lose your temper. I got to say, just on my level in my golf game, it helps to get mad if you're focused mad. If you lose it mad, if you just lose all sense, then you're completely cooked. But if you can focus your anger the way Tom did yesterday, it saved his round. That's just my 2 cents from a distance.
Well, I think Chuck didn't help. I want some of you, Tom. I'm going to give you strokes. And he hits that shot and says, suck it, Tom. Suck it, Chuck.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
That was entertaining. But Tom was human for the first time in a while. That was refreshing. And in terms of my golf game, I tend to be more of that anger that Skip discussed that doesn't go anywhere. No mercy. Bucky Brooks of the NFL Network made an early prediction that Kyler Murray would be the 3rd quarterback in a row to win MVP in his 2nd season. According to Fox Bet, Kyler has the 9th best odds to win MVP. So, Shannon, can you see Kyler winning MVP?
Not even with the Hubble telescope. And that's the most powerful telescope in the world. No, Jen, I can't see that happening. I think the thing is, for me, Skip, is that if you look at the guys that he mentioned, obviously Lamar Jackson, we saw what he did last year, but Lamar Jackson was 3,100 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, over 1,200 rushing yards for a quarterback, which was a record, 7 touchdowns. You go to the previous year, and you have Pat Mahomes, he goes 5,050, 5,000 passing yards, 50 touchdowns. Skip, there have only been 6 guys to win the MVP within the first 2 years of them being in the league, and 2 of those guys were running back, Jim Brown, Earl Campbell. You have Kurt Warner, Dan Marino, and now these other 2 guys. Skip, if you also look at it, what did Lamar Jackson do last year? His team was 14-2. In the previous year, his team, Pat Mahomes' team, was 13-3. So do we believe that the Cardinals, now you got to realize they're not even favored to win their division. They do still have the 49ers and Seahawks within their division. So you believe they're going to go from what, 5-10-1 to win an extra 8-9 games? Skip, I don't see that happening because I don't, look, and I do believe that he's going to be better. But, Skip, these guys, Mahomes is not going anywhere. Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson is always going to be a major player. Skip, I don't see it. I don't see, and like I said, I believe he's going to get better. But to improve enough team-wise, stats is one thing. Yes, it's still a stat award. But, Skip, your team's got to have a lot of success. And what people don't realize, Skip, is that both of those teams, of the guys that won the MVP last year, the previous year they went to the playoffs. So remember, Skip, Pat Mahomes was 13-3, and Alex Smith, they went to the playoff the year before Pat Mahomes took over. And last year, Lamar Jackson led them to the playoff after Joe Flacco got hurt. So I don't see it. Do I believe he'll play better? He'll have a better year? Yes. But I do not believe he'll be MVP this year, Skip. I don't believe they'll win enough games.
Shannon Sharpe.
Yep.
I keep trying to warn you to tell you what's coming with Kyler Murray. I told you going into last year, he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year, and he was. You have doubted him from the start. You doubted him in his one and only year at the University of Oklahoma, and you're still doubting him, and I'm still touting him. I have already told you Kyler Murray's going to be a big story. He's about to take a quantum leap because his team is going to take one with him. I already predicted to you last week the Arizona Cardinals will be a wild card team. That alone might be enough, coming from 5-10-1 to wild card, to at least vault him into the MVP conversation. I've seen several other analysts and experts predict that Kyler will win MVP, even beyond what Bucky Brooks predicted. And I love Bucky Brooks and believe in his vision, in his research and homework.
He does a great job.
But he does a great job. But Shannon, what Kyler did last year was extraordinary. I told you on opening Sunday, he tied Detroit. I know Detroit wasn't very good, but the Lions had their moments, and this was with Matt Stafford last year. Some people think he's got a shot at MVP this year. Again, Kyler tied him with a big fourth quarter comeback, and then Kyler beat the Falcons. He won at the Giants. He beat the Browns at home, and then he won late in the year at Seattle. And beyond that, and more importantly, he nearly beat the Ravens at Lamar, and he gave the 49ers all they wanted twice last year. Very close down to the wire games. Trust me, the 49ers are like, uh-oh, here he comes. Now he has DeAndre Hopkins. Now the defense has Isaiah Simmons. And I told you before the draft, in watching Clemson games, Isaiah Simmons leaped off my screen. He flashed for me more than Chase Young flashed when I watched Ohio State. I think Isaiah Simmons is going to have immediate and dramatic impact on that defense. And again, they were able to draft that Josh Jones. I think they stole him from the University of Houston. And I think he's going to help shore up the protection because last year, Kyler Murray went 5-10-1 playing for the worst team with the worst offensive line. Now we look at this, and by the way, before I get off that, remember, we look at the stats. He was 16th in QBR, which is pretty good for a raw rookie who gets thrown into the fire game one. He was sixth in deep passing percentage, which is pretty sensational. He was 10th in catchable passes. That was above Mahomes and Deshaun. And he was 11th in air distance. So there was no dinking and dunking going on because that was even above Mahomes and Deshaun. So offensive rookie of the year, and then gets to play a schedule, Shannon, that they do open at San Francisco. It'll be tough, but it'll be close. But I'll give them a loss there. And then look what happens to the schedule. They get Washington and Detroit at home. Then they go to Carolina and go to the Jets. I give them a shot to win all four of those games. I really do. I think they'll be a little better than Carolina and the Jets. Then they go to Dallas on a Monday night. Again, maybe it's my true blue colors coming through, but I don't think they can win that game. Then they go home, and they get Seattle at home, and then they get Miami and the Bills at home. I think they could win those three. Then they go to Seattle, where they won late last year, but it's a Thursday night. I doubt they can win that game. But then they go to New England. Then they go Rams at home, at Giants, Eagles at home, and San Francisco at home. I think they got shots in all those games, and they finish at the Rams. The Rams look like a team a little bit in decline. They haven't been the same since they lost the Super Bowl. So, again, could Arizona end up just being a little better than the Rams? Yeah. Could they beat the Rams twice? Sure they could. Well, I just gave you the blueprint for 11 games at least, maybe even 12. If they win 12 games, Kyler is going to be right in the thick of the MVP race. And I, for one, would not be shocked if he wins it. I already told you, I think Brady is perfectly positioned to win the MVP next year because of his weapons and the narrative of the comeback and going to Tampa to show Bill Belichick how wrong he was. That's a great story. So I've got Tom as my favorite right now, but Kyler's right there at 1A for me.
Skip, and as you talk about these, you read off their schedule about, guess what? These other teams are looking like, oh, we got Arizona. That's a win for us also. So like you're looking at them wins for the Cardinals, the other teams on that roster is looking at them like, oh, we got the Cards. That's a win. But Skip, let me give you a little better perspective. Of the four quarterbacks that have won the MVP within the first 2 years, Skip, their record, Dan Marino was 14-2, Kurt Warner was 13-3, Mahomes was 13-3, and Lamar Jackson was 14-2. Dan had a then record 48 touchdown passes. Kurt Warner had 40-plus touchdown passes. Mahomes was 50 and 5,000. Lamar Jackson was 36 passing touchdowns with 7 rushing touchdowns with 1,200 yards. So you see the historical performance that he's going to have to put up and has going to have to put that on have to win. Because, Skip, if you look at it, I'm trying to think the last guy that didn't win at least Tom Brady was the last guy that didn't win it, that won 12 games, I think. Wasn't that the 2016 season, Skip, where he got suspended and he ended up winning won the MVP, and I think they were 12-4 because he missed 4 games. He was suspended the first 4 games of the season. And if I'm not mistaken, Skip, they might have went 12-4 that season. They might have been better than that, Skip. I'm not really sure. But it's going to take, Skip, you somewhere around 12 to 13 wins with great stats, especially if you're in your first or second year. Now, Tom Brady could throw for 3,500 yards. They go 12-4. He's winning that award, Skip. You know that because the narrative is too good. Okay. It's too great. You talk about a team that hadn't been to the playoffs in a decade, and all of a sudden they're 12-4. 12-4 probably going to win that division. I'm not going to say it might get you the number 1 overall seed and probably get you at least 2.
Might.
So he does that, but I do believe Kyler will have a better season, Skip. I just don't know if he'll have one of those historical performances like the previous 4 MVP winning quarterbacks in their first or second year, that to have one of those that would catapult him in that says, okay, give him that award. But like I said, Skip, I do believe he'll play better, and better is he going to run enough, Skip? And you said he has great legs, but that's a small man. You don't want to see him take unnecessary risks. So I think he'll be somewhere around 500-600 rush yards and probably 3,500, 4,000 pass yards. I don't know if that's enough. Now, if he throws for 40 touchdowns, all bets are off.
I've told you from the start, little man, big arm. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury let him run enough last year to complement his big arm, to take a little pressure off the pass rush. Again, as Jenny Taft will attest, we've told you many times, she covered him at Oklahoma many times. We've never seen him take a shot in a game where you said, uh-oh, is he going to get up from that one? I never one time at Oklahoma saw him take any sort of career-threatening type shots. He's got that mechanism in his brain whereby, as a baseball player by trade, obviously a first-round pick of the Oakland A's, he is a great slider, and he totally understands, as a little man his whole life, you have to get down and get out of harm's way. He's got jets. His quickness is supreme. I like his quickness better than I like his downfield, 40 or 50-yard type speed. So the quickness can get him 6 or 8 yards on the read option like that, or any sort of quarterback draw. Boom, he's gone. And he'll get 6 or 8 and get down. Boy, those are 6 or 8 pretty easy big yards. I would like to see more 800 or 900 yards rushing, and I think they'll let him do it because I think he earned more of the trust of Cliff Kingsbury. But Shannon, for such a little man, he plays with supreme athletic arrogance. I love his poise, his body language, his demeanor, the way he carries himself with such athletic dignity. He just walks on the field, and it looks like he's showing you with his body language, I can reign supreme today. And he often does, and I believe he often will this coming year. And my point about their schedule is they don't have to play at Ravens, at Kansas City. They don't have to play at Brady or at Breeze. It sets up where they play San Francisco and Seattle really tough. So if they could have some breakthroughs, if they could win a couple of those games, especially if they could win one of the away games at San Francisco or at Seattle, they set up to have a big breakthrough year. Yes, that opener at San Francisco could be huge. And remember, they played there on a Thursday night last year, and it was a shootout, and Kyler hung in until the bitter end. He just didn't have a good enough team, especially on defense, to compete with San Francisco. I still say Isaiah Simmons will upgrade the defensive enough that it'll be a fairer fight this year, more of a level playing field with 49ers and Seahawks.
Well, Skip, he's going to need to be a little bit more consistent because last year he had 6 games of 200 or fewer passing yards. So I don't know if you'll be able to have any of those games this year because they expect him to take that quantum leap. Everybody talks about the leap that guys we've seen Mahomes and we've seen Lamar Jackson take from year 1 to year 2. And so in order for him to do that, he's going to have to make sure he doesn't have any of those dud games, Skip. He's going to have to be. If they win, Skip, they're going to have to, because I still don't believe their defense is quite up to par yet. They're going to have to win with offense, and they're going to have to win by probably putting a lot more points on the board than their opponent.
DeAndre Hopkins joins Larry Fitz in what could be his last year, and Christian Kirk, and they got next to nothing out of their draft pick last year, Andy Isabella, who ran 4.3 coming out of UMass. I think that the mere presence of DeAndre Hopkins as the biggest, best security blanket that Tyler could ever want, it's going to change life on offense. They got rid of David Johnson. Now Kenyon Drake steps up into that role. I think they are poised for takeoff.
Skip, if you look at it, their defense now, Chandler Jones is really, really underrated. He is a hell of a pass rusher. He's a hell of a defender. If Isaiah Simmons is what everybody says he is, now they got a plug-and-play guy at the next level. And then you still got Pat P on the back end. Now, he's looking to bounce back. You know, when we happened, he had missed those 6 games early, but he's looking to bounce back. He was on the all-decade team, but he wants to show he's still an elite-level corner. Because when we mention that, we don't mention it. We talk about the Jalen Ramsey, you talk about Stephon Gilmore, and rightfully so. But Pat Pete, hey, he's looking for a bounce back, Skip, so expect big things from him. So if that defense can improve just a little bit and Kyler take the step that you and many think he can, okay, they might be on to something. but I still don't know if they can get the double-digit win, Skip. And that's what it's going to take.
Both bring up some good points. Skip, you know I am with you about Kyler. And just to remind you guys, he has won at every level in his life. Always. His size has never gotten in the way, and his confidence is there to prove it.
No mercy.
An article yesterday highlighted 4 major stats to support LeBron James' argument as the GOAT over Michael Jordan. So here they are. Shot creation, first-round playoff record, LeBron scoring nearly 1,000 more career playoff points, and shooting efficiency all favor LeBron. So, Shannon, do you agree with these 4 points? I got a little Lakers going on today here.
GOAT man. Yeah, that's him. Of course. I've been trying to tell y'all for the longest. But y'all don't want to hear that now. Jenny, you remember all the stats that Skip just gave you about Dak Prescott? Oh, look at his record against teams that's over 500. Look at what he's done on the road. He's this and that. But then next level stats, oh, but he's number 1 in downfield throws. He's number 2 in tight window throws. Now, we love next level stats if they support our argument. Well, I was saying, Skip, what about that record? What about that win-loss record? Oh, but against the great teams. See, Skip and those in Jordan's camp, all they say is 6-0. Well, what about the years that he did make the playoffs and they didn't win the finals, right? So in 80s, when they were going to the playoffs and getting swept, or we just discount that? So nothing else matters. When you debate Jordan fans, nothing else matters. 86 doesn't matter, 85 doesn't matter, 87, 88, 89, 90, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is when Jordan got to the playoffs. Well, damn, there were years that he was in the NBA, made the playoffs, and got beat in the first round, or got beat in the second round. But that doesn't matter. Only thing that matters, he's 6-0. Everybody knows, just like that stat they had, the better passer. Nobody that watches the game of basketball thinks Michael Jordan is a better passer than LeBron James. But the fans did. Skip, LeBron scores better than what people think. And Jordan is an elite level scorer. Top notch, no doubting that. But LeBron James averages 29 points a game for a playoff career. I mean, let that sink in. I think Kevin Durant is slightly high. I think Kevin Durant's like 31, 32. Jordan is 33. But when you look at all around and what he's been able to do as far as points, as far as rebounds, as far as assists, as far as creating opportunities for other players on the court, it's not even close. It's not even close. Is Jordan the more dominant scorer? Sure. But that's the only decided edge that Jordan has over LeBron. Because when it comes to rebounding, when it comes to assisting, running a team, LeBron might be only behind Magic Johnson when it comes to that. I still think he's a top 3 passer and not to be a true point guard. So for me, Skip, I didn't really need this to tell me what I already knew, that LeBron GOAT James is the best player in NBA history. And this closes the case for me.
This silliness closes the case. That makes me
it's silliness now.
Thank you. I needed a good laugh on this Memorial Day morning. Shannon Sharpe, allow me to refute this lunacy point by point.
Refute
First
it.
of all, makes his teammates better. As Phil Jackson once told me in 1998 in Chicago, if Michael needed to average 10 assists a game, he would. In 1988, Michael Jordan averaged 8 assists a game. This is the first year LeBron's ever averaged 10-plus assists for a season. So I've always told you, LeBron's still the best passer in basketball. I'll give you this. He's a little better passer than Michael was because Michael did not obviously focus on passing. But when you can average 8 assists for an entire year, you can flat out pass the basketball. That same year that he did that, he was also Defensive Player of the Year. So we're not even going to get into that right now. But the reason I love The Last Dance so much is that it showed you behind closed doors how Michael Jeffrey Jordan was the greatest leader/motivator we've ever seen in any team sport. He was more the coach of those Bulls than Phil Jackson was. It was Michael preying on the weaknesses of many of the players on the team, creating strengths by toughening them up, with practice ridicule and constant needling and cajoling. And you can call it bullying if you want to call it that, but it worked. It was positive bullying, and none of them hated it. None of them have carried it into the future where they now hate Michael Jordan. I don't think Horace Grant even hates Michael Jordan because he won 3 championships with him. And the proof was in the pudding of 6-0 in the finals. And to quote the great LeBron James, one of his most infamous quotes from 2016, we're top heavy as bleep, because that Cleveland team had Kyrie and Kevin Love and LeBron and a bunch of garbage from there on down, said LeBron James publicly. Way to go. That's real, true leadership, LeBron. Well, guess what? All of Michael's teams were top heavy as bleep. He won championships with Steve Kerr and Judd Buechler and John Paxson. These are just guys. And Luke Longley and Bill Winnington and Will Perdue. These are just guys. And Scott Burrell and Randy Brown. These are just guys, Shannon Sharpe. And with a Scottie Pippen who did not have what I call winner's intangibles. Michael toughened up Scottie and made him into a great Robin. And Michael kept Dennis Rodman barely in bounds. Dennis would, when he did show up, and he did show up for all the right times and the right games, he played hard for Michael, not for Phil, for Michael. So you can't tell me that Michael didn't routinely make his teammates better on and off the court than LeBron did. Now, let's go to point number 2, and this is my favorite one, if I could please. This idiocy that LeBron didn't lose in the first round of the playoffs. In Michael's first 3 playoffs, he met the 59-23 Milwaukee Bucks of Sidney Moncrief and Terry Cummings, both all-stars. That was a really good team in 1985. That was Michael's second year in the league. Then in 86, he runs into Larry Bird's Celtics. It's the team Larry said was his best Celtics team. It went 67-15 and won the NBA Finals. Any shame in that? I think not. Then the same Larry Bird Celtics the next year. Any shame in that? They went 59-23. I think not. Meanwhile, over on the other side of the ledger, in the Eastern Conference, in his first 12 years, LeBron James ran into nothing but garbage in the first round. If you add up the records of all of LeBron's opponents in the first round in the first 12 years, it's 490 to 478. It's barely over 500. So Michael's records of his first 3 finals that he lost in the first 3 plus he lost in the first round was 185 and 61. So it's not even close. He's running into the beasts of the East back in his day versus the least of the East in LeBron's day.
But he's the GOAT.
Well, he...
Hold on, Skip. No.
Wait a minute. No. In 88, he started showing you GOAT.
No. He's the GOAT. Because that's what I said. I said, Skip, you have to look at what LeBron is running to in the finals. He's running to 4 Hall of Famers with the Spurs. He's running into 4 Hall of Famers with Golden State. No, he's the GOAT. He's got to win. If Michael Jordan is the GOAT, if that's what you're telling me, you've got to beat the big 3 Celtics. You talk about the Bucks. Really? You talk about the Bucks? Is that what we're talking about?
59-23, really. They were one of the best teams in basketball. They had like the second best record in the league that year. What are you talking about?
Wait a minute. Hold on.
We're talking about 1985.
I know what it was. I remember, if I'm not mistaken, 1985, Sidney Moncrief was Defensive Player of the Year. But I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the GOAT.
You just did.
You tell me he's the GOAT. Everybody, hold on. So why didn't that strategy work? You tell me that Phil Jackson wasn't the coach, or Michael Jordan was the coach. Why didn't they win until Phil got there? If he's the coach, if he's the GOAT, so now he's the GOAT player and he's coaching, and they can't get out the first round. Why?
They're up against dynasties. The Larry Bird teams in 86 and 87 were sensational. The 87 Celtics lost to Magic and the Showtime Lakers in 6 games in the finals. It's hard when you're growing up in the league to have to overcome that team with Bird and Parrish and McHale and DJ and Ainge, and I can go on down the line.
So, if you don't mind me asking, so him running into by himself, running into Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen. So what was that? Were they any good? Or any of those guys going to end up in Springfield? I just need to know which one of those guys will end up in Springfield. Oh, all three of them.
Okay.
That's what he was running into. See, but hold on. And when he's running up against Golden State, now they said Golden State got two. They got LeBron James have lost it in the finals to 5 of the top 7 teams. Wow. Now, Michael Jordan, you make all these excuses. 59 and 23, the big 3 Celtic. Skip, if he's what you said he is, what you've told me is that LeBron James is the GOAT. He's got to beat Kevin Durant, Steph, Clay, and Draymond. That's what you told me. You told me if he's the GOAT,
time out.
he's got to take down Tim Duncan.
Wait. No. You're changing the subject once again. I'm refuting the points of this piece that you said just closed the case. The piece just said point number 2, LeBron never lost in the first round of the playoffs.
He didn't.
Because he's in the Eastern Conference. Michael Jordan's biggest battles came in the Eastern Conference. Go look at Pacers in '98 in the Eastern Conference Finals. You could argue that was really the NBA Finals, not Malone and Stockton in Utah in the real finals.
Skip.
I'm just refuting the point. You're changing the subject.
No, Skip, you keep telling me if Jordan is the GOAT has to get out the first round, regardless of who. That's what you tell me. And regardless of who you play, you've got to get out of the first round. And he's got to take a game. You mean to tell me the GOAT can't get a game off old Larry Legend? Oh, no. Kevin McHale and Parrish? He can't win one game?
Yeah, LeBron's Cavaliers in his first stint in Cleveland, they couldn't have won a game off Larry Bird. You love Larry Bird. He's your favorite player growing up.
This ain't got nothing to do with what I like. I'm just asking you. You tell me he's the GOAT. Okay, he's the GOAT. Okay. GOAT's got to be able to win one game. Point number 3. Whoever this was says, oh, wait a second. LeBron scored more playoff points than Michael Jordan.
Yeah. LeBron's played 60 more postseason games than Michael played. 60 more games.
Yes.
And you brought up the case closer for me. Michael averaged in those 60 fewer games 33 a game. Michael, and yet LeBron in his games, 60 more games, has averaged 29 a game. Well, okay, Michael led the playoffs in scoring 10 times in his career. 10 times. LeBron's only done that 3 times, where you average the most points in the postseason. So what am I supposed to do with that? That's just a joke. It's actually a point for me. It's a big GOAT close the case point for me. And then finally, we get to go ahead.
How many times? Because here's the thing, Jordan's main responsibility was to score. How many times did Jordan lead his team in assists? How many times did he lead his team in rebounding? LeBron had more responsibility overall than what Jordan had. If they just said, LeBron, all you got to do is score. Get a rebound here and there if you can. Get an assist here and there you can. Just score. It's hard for me to believe that a guy that's doing all of that can't average 30-plus points a game.
Michael Jordan was a defensive player of the year. He was first team all defense 9 times. He led the league in steals 3 times. And you're telling me all he had to do was score? Baloney. Then you don't get it.
Skip.
Case closed for me.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. So LeBron James has never been on the all-defensive first team. Is that what you're telling me?
No. How many times? In 17
6
years. That's not good enough.
6.
That ain't goatish.
But hold on. Yes, it is. Hold on. First of all, Skip. And you know the year that Paul Gasol's brother won, Mark Gasol won it. Skip, how do you win the Defensive Player of the Year and you don't even make first team all defense? How is that possible? Skip, that's like somebody winning the MVP and they don't make first team all pro. How is that possible? Exactly. It should
really
not have
care.
happened. I do care because he was robbed.
I don't care. Oh, you have me confused with someone who really cares. Now, point number 4. This is actually slightly in your favor. I'm going to give you this one. Whoever this guy is points out that LeBron's shooting percentage over his career is 50.4 from the field. Okay.
Yeah.
So Michael was 49.7. So you got him. 49.7 to 50.4.
Got it.
But if you eliminate the last 2 years in Washington when Michael was 39 and 40 years of age, if you eliminate those two after he took 3 years off to finish out as almost a ceremonial player in D.C. Now, wait a second. That boosts up Michael, if you just do Chicago, that boosts him up to 50.5 from the field. 50.5 to LeBron's 50.4. Gotcha. Thank you. And if we throw in free throw. Yeah, go ahead.
No, they factored in free throws, Skip. They factored in free throws. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the 2 years in which LeBron was a teenager, playing with grown-ass men. See, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take those first 2 years when he was a teenager, playing a boy playing amongst men. I'm going to take those away. And so now guess what we ask Skip? We way on up there in front of him.
Shannon, LeBron James was a grown-ass man when he was like 12. Seriously.
No.
Yes, he was.
See,
yes, he was.
My guy, think about it, Skip. My guy, 18 years old, paying light bill, phone bill, cable. He ain't calling home and ask mama to send stamps. He ain't ask mama to send dish detergent so he can wash clothes. He paying rent. He paying mortgages, car notes. That's what my 18-year-old homeboy doing. So he got him in shooting efficiency. He got him in first round and shot creation. So about a 3-1.
And finally,
go James it is.
Michael Jordan, the true GOAT, shot 85% for his career from the free throw line. LeBron is way down at 74%. Case closed. GOAT versus phony GOAT.
They factor that in. Shooting efficiency, 3-point field goals, true shooting, 2-point, and free throws. They factored all that in, and it was James.
No, they did not.
Yeah, they did. Yes,
they?
Yes, they did.
Who's they?
Every day, we've got different material to make this debate work.
No mercy.
Aaron Rodgers has made the NFC Championship game 3 of the past 6 seasons and now sees Tom Brady entering his conference for the first time. Both players are late in their careers and are looking to add to their already impressive career resumes. So, Shannon, who will have the better season, Rodgers or Brady?
Skip, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers. Now, statistically, Tom Brady might have the better season because he has the better weapons. You know, he has 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, arguably one of the greatest tight end to have ever played the game in Rob Gronkowski, 2 other tight ends that have great potential but have not reached their max potential yet. So, statistically, I think Tom Brady will have a better season. But I did not pick Tampa to win their division. I'm going Aaron Rodgers. And so I'm saying Aaron Rodgers is going to win his division. So it all depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking at a team that's going to have the best record, win the division, I'll say Aaron Rodgers. While Tom Brady will probably have slightly better numbers for the simple fact he has more offensive weapons. When you look at what Rodgers is throwing to, he has Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams is a pro role receiver, big-time playmaker. But they have 2 Devontae Adams. They have Chris Godwin. They have Mike Evans. And then you bring Gronk into the fold. Aaron Rodgers have Allen Lazard, Devin Funchess. Now Skip EQ, Equanimity St. Brown, I think that's his name. So Brady should statistically have better numbers, but I'm going to say Rodgers will have the better season because he will win the division. So I'm going Aaron Rodgers over Tom Brady.
So let me get this straight. You are saying the Packers will win more games in the regular season than Tampa Bay will?
Yeah, that's what I said. Didn't I say that? Yeah.
Just want to
What, you want cases on that or something?
I want a bunch of cases. I want 5 on that right here, right now. I'll take it. Will you put your where your mouth is on this holiday?
When did you turn into this guy? Dude, when did you turn into the guy that want to bet everything? Okay, 5 cases. Green Bay versus Tampa Bay, best record.
I just took another sip of Diet Mountain Dew, the breakfast of champions, and I've got another 5 cases coming into my little swimming pool down here in the flats below the palatial estate that Shannon Sharpe lives in, way up the hill from me in Bel Air. You told me that Tom Brady basically hit the wall, really, each of the last 4 years. You told me that he definitely declined last year, right?
Yeah. Okay. I saw some slippage, yes.
Okay. So going into this fall, into this September, Aaron Rodgers will be 36 to Tom's 43, age 36 to
Correct.
age 43. That should be huge advantage, Aaron. I think Aaron Rodgers' team and season last year were fraudulent. There is no way they're going to repeat 13-3. It was fraudulent because for the 3rd straight year, Aaron's key stats fell. QBR fell 3 straight years, and completion percentage fell for the 3rd straight year. In QBR, Aaron last year ranked 18th, and in completion percentage, he ranked 23rd in the National Football League. Not very good. So how do you go 13-3? Aha! Turnover differential, you're tied for 3rd. That's some tribute to Aaron, because one thing he doesn't do, he does not turn the football over. Conversely,
right.
he doesn't do much great anymore either. He's a master at not making mistakes, but not making much happen. So they were ranked 16th in points scored. Well, that can't get you to 13-3, can it? Well, it did, because your defense was taking the ball away at a very high rate. And the other Aaron on your team was the actual MVP named Aaron Jones. Every time I looked up, he was making the big run or the big catch and run. And it's one of those weird years when you couldn't, we kept coming in every Monday saying, I don't know how they won that game, but they did. So I give them 13-3, but every red flag should tell you this team is not going to come close to 13 wins again. This team looks more like a 9-7 team to me, while Tampa Bay, with the GOAT, looks like a 12-win team. I have Tampa winning the division at 12-4. Yeah, I have them. It may be a tie. It may be a 12-4 tie with New Orleans, because I really love and respect what New Orleans has. They will be very good, but Tom Brady will be a little better than Drew Brees. And somehow they'll win a tiebreaker. I just have a gut feeling that they will end up winning the South this year. I believe that Tampa Bay will wind up in a home Super Bowl, the first team in NFL history to play in a home Super Bowl. It is meant to be. It is destined. Its GOAT goes to worst franchise in any sport right now. Worst winning percentage in any sport in this country belongs to the Succaneers. And I believe Brady is hell-bent to turn them around and show Bill Belichick, watch what I can do here. You were wrong, Coach Belichick. Watch this. So I believe with all those new weapons that Tom definitely and easily will have a better year statistically, and I think he'll win easily more games than Aaron Rodgers. I don't trust Aaron Rodgers anymore because they don't trust him. You know, and I know, the young coach and the fairly young GM, they just drafted Michael Jordan Love. He was named for Michael Jordan, Jordan Love. Some people think he could turn into Patrick Mahomes sooner than later. So obviously, they're showing you that we don't really believe in Aaron for the long haul. He says he wants to play into his 40s and retire in Green Bay. Ain't happening. Jordan Love will be fast-tracked to replace him, and I don't think it will do that team any good psychologically. I don't think Aaron will respond well to this, and I believe Green Bay is a candidate, without having improved much around Aaron Rodgers, to get exposed this year. I believe they'll be lucky to win 9 games. They were lucky to win 13 last year, and now they'll be lucky to win 9. And I got a bet with you for 5 more cases of Diet Dew, and I have virtually already won that bet.
You have not. Skip, why do you do this? This is what I want to know. When it comes to Michael Jordan, only thing that matters is wins. Not shooting efficiency, not shot creations, not exiting the first, just wins. Now we get to Aaron Rodgers. He's 13-3. You bring up quarterback QBR, you bring up completion percentage, you bring up all these stats. Stats that you never brought up when Tom Brady, because all you said, all he does is win. Now Aaron Rodgers is winning. You want to break up all these stats about what does that got to do? Did he win 13 games last year? Yes. You talk about, well, I can see Green Bay only winning like 9 games. Well, that's what Fox Bet got Tampa at. 9 games. I believe Green Bay, so what? They're not 13-3. 13-3 might not be required to win the division. They might only need 10 wins. They might only need 11 wins. All I know is that I'm going to get 5 cases because the Packers will have more wins than the Buccaneers. Now, they used to be division rivals, Skip. You know that. They used to play in the NFC North. Green Bay, Tampa, Chicago, and Detroit. But now they kicked Tampa out. Tampa's in the South. So with that being said, even though he has all those weapons, and he should throw for like 7,000 yards, because if he's the GOAT with all those young weapons, 7,000 should be a cinch. Peyton Manning's touchdown record should fall. His passing yardage record, 5,400 yards, should fall. But all that being said, Aaron Rodgers will win more games and win me 5 cases of Dew.
I already told you, Tom Brady will throw for 40 touchdowns, and I'll give him 10 interceptions, 40-10.
Why not 50?
MVP. Well, because 40 is realistic. He doesn't have Randy Moss. He's got a collection.
Whoa. Hold on, that's the GOAT. Everything is realistic. You know, when Tom Brady gets angry, psycho Tom, he's going to be hell-bent on proving Coach Belichick was wrong.
Well, time out. You have told me consistently, and you're in the Hall of Fame and I'm not, that Aaron Rodgers is the greatest thrower of the football ever. He is a transcendent thrower of the football. Never seen anything like him, says Shannon Sharpe, Hall of Fame, Canton, Ohio. And why shouldn't he win 12 games next year? He won 13 last year.
He might win 11. I just need him to win more than Tampa. I don't care if he don't win but 7 games, as long as Tampa wins 6. But he's gonna win the division. I got Green Bay winning the division. Because hold on, you say you don't trust Cousins. You say you don't trust him. You tell Jenny all the time, I'm sorry, Jenny, but your team, I can't trust him. Okay, Trubisky. You like Trubisky? And Nick Foles has only been good for a small stretch in Philly. So I know they're expecting him to do what he did in Philly in Chicago. Well, we saw that worked out in Jacksonville last year. We saw how it worked out with the Rams, not very well. And Matthew Stafford, that's Detroit. They're going to do Detroit-type things. So it's Green Bay.
Okay, but 9-7 will win the North. 9-7 won't win the South. It's going to take 12. Tom will give you 12.
Y'all not winning the South.
Game over.
You're not winning the South. What part about that didn't you hear? No, you're not.
I only heard my voice.
Okay. We're going to leave Brady. We're going to leave Rodgers for now. We'll get back to them another day.
No mercy.
Former second overall draft pick Ryan Leaf was arrested over the weekend on a charge of misdemeanor domestic battery. He was released on bail and will have a court appearance in September. I'm still shocked by hearing this news. I've gotten to know Ryan a bit from covering college football, and it's crazy to read about. So, Shannon, your reaction to hearing this news?
It's disappointing. Skip, we know some of the troubles that Ryan has befallen this young man. Not such a young man anymore, but we know some of the struggles that he's had throughout his life. It seemed that he had turned his life around. He was working as a college analyst for ESPN. He come on that show a number of times. He's an ambassador for a program that helps people with addictions. And ever since he's gotten out of legal trouble in 2014, he seemed to have been on the straight and narrow. And excuse me, Skip. He was charged with domestic battery, which typically stems like someone in the family or the household. I just, I don't want to speculate, and hopefully it's unclear if any drugs or alcohols were involved, and so it would be speculative at my part, and I don't want to do that. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I hope this all gets resolved and he can get back on with his life. It's just sad to hear because, when guys go through things, Skip, or not just guys, but when people go through things and they seemingly have turned their life around, you root for them because you don't know what someone is going through. And seemingly when they go through that and they come out on the other side and seem to be headed down the right path, you want them to try to stay on that path as long as possible. And so for some reason, this reared its head again, and hopefully everything works itself out. But I'm really sad to hear that because the little time that I had spent around him, Skip, I had started to like him. I was in Denver, actually, when they took him with the number 2 overall pick in 1998. And I didn't know a whole lot about him, but having him come on the show, spending a little time around him, Skip, I had started to like him. I had started to see changes in this young man's life.
So, to your point, don't know the details of what happened, don't know what the outcome will be. Obviously, any kind of domestic battery cannot be tolerated or excused, and we're not trying to do that. So let's let that play out. But Shannon, like you, like Jenny, I spent a little time around Ryan Leaf, and I feel like I got to know him the way I know Johnny Manziel. They remind me of each other in different ways. If you spend time around Ryan Leaf, he's smart, he can be funny, he can be engaging, big charisma personality. And I'm with you and with Jenny, this really shook me up because I thought once again, he turned it all around. In fact, about a year and a half ago, I asked Ryan, because I liked him so much, to play golf with me one afternoon, and he couldn't because his first baby was about to be born. And I'm thinking, boy, he's really got it all going. Then he got his own radio show. Then he got his gig with ESPN, and he still has his gig, as you pointed out, Shannon, as this national ambassador for a company that runs sober housing in New York, LA, and Houston, a company that's located, 3 or 4 blocks from the Fox studio lot where we do Undisputed from. And when we'd have Ryan on the show, he'd say, this is great. It takes me 2 minutes to drive here. So we got used to having Ryan around a lot on FS1. Here we go again with 2 of the saddest stories, Ryan Leaf and Johnny Manziel, and 2 of the biggest wastes of talent I have encountered in all my years. Their issues stem from different problems that they both had psychologically. Ryan Leaf just couldn't ever quite live up to Peyton Manning. A lot of people thought Ryan Leaf should go ahead of Peyton Manning at number 1 overall.
They did.
And he went second to San Diego. And Ryan just couldn't take the pressure of it, the beating of it, to live up to what he was at Washington State, which was up there in that little tiny town of Pullman, Washington, without the media expectation and constant putting you in that brightest spotlight. Yeah, it's a barrage, it's daily barrage that he got when he went to San Diego. The pressure did get to him, and he resorted to substance abuse. The pressure never got to Johnny Manziel. Pressure, he had pressure for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He just liked to party more than he liked to play football. And ultimately, he had substance abuse issues from partying hardy. And yet, I'll take a little bit of the blame for Ryan Leaf because I've told you this story before, but the last time I actually did homework on a potential draft pick where I actually called people to ask their opinion, I got led astray. I was very close to the coaching staff in 1998 at USC. They had obviously seen Ryan Leaf a lot. He had just beaten them at the Coliseum and beaten the stuffing out of them. And I knew 3 assistants on that staff, including also the head coach. And all of them gushed to me and said, Ryan Leaf is going to be the next big thing in pro football. All of them had coached in pro football. They said he's 6'5", 235, and plays quarterback like a linebacker. Fearless. He will run over you if you get in his way. Huge arm, gunslinger. And I'm thinking, okay, I'll buy that. And I wrote that I would take him over Peyton Manning. That's the last time I've listened to anything but my own instincts. I've listened to my own sort of voice. You know, now when I tell you what I believe about a quarterback, I always tell you it's just me watching TV, eye testing, gut testing. Can he or can't he? And obviously, Ryan Leaf, I couldn't psychoanalyze him. He just couldn't take the pressure. He couldn't live up to being Peyton Manning. So what happens? He flames out. He bounces from Tampa to Dallas to Seattle, and he was gone in about 3 years. And it was horrible. Yep. And the next thing you know, he resorts to substance abuse. And the next thing you know, he resorts to burglary. Twice he gets busted for burglary, and then he goes to prison and does a big prison stint. And then he comes out and he starts to rehabilitate. And because he has such great charisma, and because we all want him to be better than he was, we root for him, he rehabbed completely. He rebuilt his life, and he's on a big upswing where I think he's got it going. And again, I hope this doesn't completely derail the rest of his life, but you don't know. It could. So in the end, Shannon, you know, every time I would ask Ryan Leaf a tough question on the air, like, why should we believe you now? After the segment, he would pull me aside, and he would always say, thank you for asking that. And I'd say, why? And he said, because I deserve to be asked that. I'm not sure Ryan ever quite trusted himself. I think he knew those demons were lurking just below the surface, and he needed to be reminded constantly, okay, I'm close to going over the edge. I got to fight back. I got to, like they say, one day at a time in any sort of 12-step recovery program. You know, by the grace of God, you live one day to the next day. And the demons, they still existed for Ryan Leaf, and God bless him. I hope he pulls out of it, Shannon. But, man, this just knocked the wind out of me when I heard this whenever it was last Friday.
You're right, Skip, and the thing is that he has to fight every single day a demon that he cannot see. You know, we talk about a fight, Skip, we talk about MMA, talk about boxing, and we understand street fights and things of that nature. But he literally has to fight a demon, an issue that he cannot see, but he has to fight it every day. And one slip up and basically everything that you've accomplished goes out the window. And, you know, one day at a time, Skip, and, you know, it's tough. I mean, that's why so many people, you know, they lose this battle. Because you can be great for 5 days, 15 days, 10 years, 20 years, and one slip up. I just hope, Skip, he rebounds from this. He gets back on the right track. Because like you said, I don't really know him that well, Skip, the little bit that I was around him coming on the show. But he seems to understand. And Skip, everybody can't handle the pressure and the expectations. Man, I'm the number 2 pick in the draft. There's really Skip, because the competition was always going to be between him and Peyton. It's just like Kevin Durant and Greg Oden. Greg Oden flamed out. Kevin Durant became what he became. That was always going to be that, Skip. That's just the way it works. And he couldn't handle it. But I just hope he's able to get past this issue, resolves itself, and he can start all over again.
Well, we're all shocked by this, and we hope Ryan Leaf gets the help he needs. We hope his family is okay, and really that's all we can say right now until we know more about the situation.
No mercy.
3 out of 6 experts said that the Buccaneers were the most improved team this offseason. The Cardinals and Eagles also got nominated, but it was Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski who stole the show, making their arrivals in Tampa. So, Shannon, which NFL team do you think has improved the most this offseason?
Well, I agree with those guys. I thought, you know, and when my first thing came up, there are a lot of teams that that got my attention. But I went with the Eagles, Skip, because I like the fact that they get D-Jack back, they get Alshon back. They traded for Marquise Goodwin. They signed Jalen Reagor. And then they went to the defensive side. They made the big trade for Darius Slay. They bring in Nickell Roby-Coleman as a slot corner, Skip. John Hargrove. They got him from Pittsburgh. And so I like what they've done. I really, because this offense, Skip, they need to be more explosive. They need to surround Carson Wentz with more weapons, because what we see with these young quarterbacks, the more weapons, the better they are. And Baltimore was my second pick because I like what they did, Skip. You know, they signed Calais Campbell, who's very underrated, big-time defensive tackle. Now, they did lose Marshall Yanda, but they brought in DJ Fluker. And then they brought in Patrick Queen and J.K. Dobbins, Duvernay. You love Duvernay from Texas. So they gave so what they're doing, Skip, what we're seeing is that they're surrounding these young quarterbacks with talent. They're making it almost impossible for them to fail because they've given them so much such a wealth of talent. And you see Carson Wentz, Skip, he threw for 4,000 yards and had no receiver that had more than 500 yards receiving. So now he get D-Jack, Alshon, Jalen Reagor, Marquise Goodwin, pair him with Zach Ertz. Big things, baby. NFC East, repeat. Can you say it with me, Skip? Repeat NFC East champs, baby. Got the T-shirt already. You don't even know it, but I got one.
Shannon Sharpe. ESPN ranked the Eagles offseason 17th best. You just ranked it first best. 17th to first. That's a long ways. You're way off. Again,
I'm a leader.
D-Jack and Alshon don't count on improving. They're obviously already there, so you hope they can come back and contribute something next year. They're both getting up there in age, I remind you. I will give you Darius Slay, love him. Roby Coleman, like him a lot. So those are two nice upgrades. But Malcolm Jenkins is gone. A whole lot of players had to go from that defense for them to be able to muster up the money to give to one cornerback in Darius Slay. So they lost on offense Aguilar and Jason Peters, and then they lost Vinnie Curry and Nigel Bradham and Timmy Jernigan, and I could go on. And Jalen Reagor, you rave about. Everybody said the Eagles took him way too high, and you didn't mention the other Jalen they took, named Hurts, in the second round, which indicates very strongly they don't believe in walk it to him as you do. He's going to moonwalk out of that job if he's not careful, because Jalen Hurts is going to push him for that job this year. So you better be careful with the Eagles going backward instead of forward. And once again, you have disrespected the greatest player in the history of this game, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. He's the GOAT. Tampa just added the GOAT. And you didn't even put Tampa in the conversation. Tampa just added another GOAT that you know very well because he plays the position you played. Rob Gronkowski. So you got GOAT tight end and GOAT quarterback, and they know each other really well. They have a deep soul connection, especially in the clutch. Really? And wait a second. These do count as offseason additions because they could have lost them. Tampa retained Shaq Barrett and Sue and JPP in that front seven. It's sensational. And then they go into the draft and they trade up one spot and steal Tristan Wirfs, who I thought was the best of the four stud tackles. They got him at 13. Then in the second round, they get Antoine Winfield Jr. Every time I turned on a Minnesota game, he leaped off my screen as a ball hawk sort of quarterback of the secondary. They got him in the second round. They got my little man, Keyshawn Vaughn, in the third round out of Vanderbilt University. Trust me, Brady will love handing it to Keyshawn and tossing it to Keyshawn. And then all the way down in the fifth round, they get a Tyler Johnson from Minnesota that Pro Football Focus ranked the best performing receiver, the best in productivity in the country last year. They got him in the fifth round. Wow. So all of a sudden you got, dare I say, Rob Gronkowski for Cameron Brate in the lineup, and you kept O.J. Howard 6'5", who ran 4.5 in the combine, was in the doghouse some of last year. I think he just exited the doghouse. And 2 Pro Bowl receivers are already there. What's not to love about this, Shannon? Again, ESPN had Tampa number 1. I got them number 1 with the bullet. I got them like A++. This is outrageous.
Whatever.
Very few teams. They got the GOAT. They threw for the most yards last year. Think about this. They threw for the most yards in Tampa under Bruce Arians, Tom Moore, and now they've replaced Jameis Winston with Tom Brady. What do you think's going to happen? Greatness, special is going to happen. Division championship, Super Bowl is going to happen.
Well, Skip, I went with the Eagles because what the Eagles needed, and they hadn't had in a very long time, is consistent speed. The one thing that we know is that Jalen Reagor can run, Marquise Goodwin can run, D-Jack can run. Even though D-Jack is up there in age, Skip, he can still run. Now you got the intermediate stuff that Zach Ertz and Alshon can work. And Skip, look, you got to give him weapons. Last year he did what he did, and he didn't really have weapons. So and like you say, he got a chip on his shoulder. Oh, man, you know them old North Dakotans. Man, Skip, when we go and get tough, man, he's an outdoorsman, Skip. He's built for this. He's built for these harsh kind of conditions. The harshness of bringing him and somebody to try to replace him. And he going to show you. He going to show you and them raggedy Cowboys what it's about. We going to repeat as champs in the NFC East. Fact, Jack.
So ESPN ranked Dallas's offseason 5th. So Tampa 1st, Dallas 5th. Eagles 17th? And you're trying to pick the Eagles first just because you hate my Cowboys and you hate Tom Brady, who I love. That's it. Period. End of story. You're disqualified from both arguments. Game over.
Skip, first of all, why don't you look at this, what they've done? Have they not increased speed? Have they not given Carson Wentz weapons? The defense. Darius Slay, you know what he did to Amari. You know that. Made him do this. Made him tap his helmet and come up out of there.
No, he didn't go that far. That was what happened in New England.
Every move, Skip, every move that we made was for you guys. We got Darius Slay to deal with Coop. And now we got speed because you've lost your guys. I mean, these quarterbacks, okay, we're going to see if Diggs, we're going to see if these other guys are going to be able to step up because what we will be able to do is stretch the field. We're going to stretch the field. We're going to put pressure on you. And we got a quarterback that can throw it 60 yards. So we're going to have a lot of bombs completed on you guys.
Marquise Grissom last year in San Francisco caught a grand total of 12 passes and 1 touchdown.
He got hurt.
Hey, CeeDee Lamb might catch 12 in a game this year. Who's going to cover CD if Slay takes Amari, if he slays Amari, okay? What about CD? What about Michael Gallup?
Mills.
What about Zeke? Do I need to go on?
Nicole Rope. Hold on. Y'all had them last year, and we shut y'all down. Remember what we did to y'all? And we didn't have Goodwin. We didn't have Jalen Reagor. Think about what we didn't have, and we beat you guys.
You know what you did?
So now that we got them.
What you did to us last year? Yeah. You on the first Sunday night at Jerry World, we won 37-10. Then you managed to hold us off 17-9 in the game that decided the whole year. 17-9. And if Dak doesn't miss a wide open Tavon Austin, we might be having a very different conversation right now. That's what you did to us last year.
What we found out, if the Cowboys can't front run, they can't win. You see? That's how y'all work. Front runners. That's what you are. And when you can't do that, you can't win.
No mercy.
NASCAR's back, and it continues tonight on FS1 with some Xfinity Series racing. Then tomorrow night, catch the Gander Outdoor Truck Series. And on Wednesday, it's the NASCAR Cup Series live from Charlotte Motor Speedway beginning 8 Eastern on FS1. Okay, guys, when that same group of NFL experts were asked which team declined the most this offseason, the Texans, Jaguars, and Patriots all got votes. The Texans traded away DeAndre Hopkins. The Jags lost key pieces on defense. And the Patriots, of course, well, we know who they lost, Mr. Tom Brady. So, Shannon, which NFL team do you think has declined the most this offseason?
Well, Jenny, we already saw yesterday what Tom Brady looked like without Coach Belichick. We saw that there with Jenny. You saw that? Shaking it all over the place, Skip Bayless. Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Skip, look, you could go with the Patriots. The only reason I didn't go with the Patriots, Skip, is that I trust Coach Belichick, even though he lost a huge piece in Tom Brady, and there were a lot of defensive defections. I still went with the Houston Texans because I don't trust Bill O'Brien, because I think Bill O'Brien, the general manager, has done a terrible job for Bill O'Brien, the head coach. And since he serves in both roles, he should kick his own butt. Skip, if you look at what he did, he gave up DeAndre Hopkins for a running back that has not been great since 2016. And he has the second highest cap hit in 2020. And then he signed Randall Cobb, 3 years, $27 million. Bradley Roby, 3 years at $36 million. And just gave Laramie Tunsil 3 years at $66. Now, you gave up 2 first-round draft picks to get Tunsil. Skip, don't you think you should have worked in at that point in time the contract extension and not wait until the guy get to the end? So it's so much on your cap. Look, I get Bill O'Brien, you know, he's won the division a couple of times, Skip. But with this and what he's done and how he's robbed this team, he's done a terrible job. The Houston Texans, I don't know what they're waiting for. But they keep hoping, or maybe they think it's Skip, well, Coach Belichick did start out like this, and so maybe he'll turn it around and we got Bill Belichick. You don't. Houston Texans, you're in trouble. You'd be in a lot more trouble if you didn't have Deshaun Watson that can work his magic. But Bill O'Brien has done a terrible job with this team, Skip. I thought they were on the cusp of being really, really, really good. And I think they took a big step back with all the moves or the lack thereof or the terrible moves that Bill O'Brien has made as a general manager.
Any team that still has Deshaun Watson at quarterback cannot have had that bad of an offseason. So, Shannon Sharpe, here you go again, disrespecting the greatest football player ever. Belichick lost the GOAT. Belichick lost the man who made Bill Belichick, who put him on the map when it looked like he might get fired in 2001, after they started 0-2, after his first year in New England when he went 5-11, after he had 4 out of 5 years in Cleveland as head coach in which they had a losing record and missed the playoffs. Brady saved Belichick's career, kept it afloat, made him a genius, and now he's gone. And Belichick lost the GOAT tight end, Gronkowski. And I dare you, Shannon Sharpe, to show me one move that Bill Belichick made in this offseason where you said, aha, that works. One draft pick where you sat back and said, aha, that was some move that the genius just made. I didn't like any of his draft picks. Mel Kiper, who never grades that harshly after drafts, gave the New England Patriots a C+, which was near the bottom of the barrel. C+ for Bill Belichick? I thought he would own this draft. I thought he would manipulate and control this draft, and it did not happen. I thought he'd make at least 1 or 2 splashes in free agency where I'd say, okay. I thought he might go get Andy Dalton. No, my Cowboys got Andy Dalton for a bargain basement, $3 million a year. Now we have a backup quarterback who's the best backup in pro football because he's a starting quarterback. And I thought Belichick would go try to pry him out of Cincinnati for a low salary. What did he do? He didn't do anything. He signed at receiver Damiere Byrd and Marquise Lee. Marquise Lee used to be pretty good. He hasn't played for 2 years. It's like he's 29 years of age and he's coming off a terrible knee injury that cost him the last 2 years. They signed him for 1 year. And they signed Bo Allen and Adrian Phillips and Brian Hoyer. So now it's down to Brian Hoyer, who has not started a game since October 2nd of 2016, has a record overall of 16-22, and Jared Stidham, who's never started a single game in the National Football League, and who had a pretty lousy last year at Auburn, which is why he fell to the 4th round. That's it? That's it. That's all you got. You did nothing. It's like Belichick's trying to say, watch this, I'm a genius. I don't need anything but faceless, nameless cogs.
But Skip, that's what makes him great, and that's what Coach Belichick prides himself on, taking the guys that are not household names, guys that we would think like, well, who is that guy, and making something out of them. That's how he became the guy. Skip, you don't get to, think about it. Chuck Noll doesn't get the credit that he deserves because he coached 10 Hall of Famers. We give Coach Belichick so much more credit because he doesn't have a whole lot of guys that's going to play that's going to make it to the Hall of Fame. And he wins consistently year after year. So that's a part of his genius. That's a part of what makes him great. Being able to take guys that are not household names, that are not thought of as top-tier player, and getting maximum effort and maximum value out of those guys. And I believe that's what he's going to try and do again. Skip, for me, I never thought he would go out and get I thought Andy Dalton, because his thing is, Skip, he needs to win a Super Bowl with a quarterback not named Tom Brady in order for him to in order to consider this a win for him.
Yeah. Okay. So look at the losses on defense. How many can you sustain without replacing Danny Shelton, Landon Roberts, Jamie Collins, Kyle Van Noy, Duron Harmon? Mm-hmm. You even cut your kicker, Gostkowski, your best kicker next to, obviously, the greatest kicker ever, Vinatieri, maybe the second best kicker in pro football history. You just whacked him. I don't get it. Yep. You lost Philip Dorsett on offense, and you lost your starting center, Ted Karras, and Ben Watson retired, and Gronk's gone. So what do you have left? Shannon, you bet me 5 cases of Joe Tooney, you put the tag on him. Oh, really? Oh, I'm impressed and I'm scared. You bet me 5 cases of Diet Dew that Bill Belichick's team in New England will have a better record than Tom Brady's in Tampa, and you're in trouble, and you know it.
A little bit of trouble, not much. Coach Belichick, I trust.
There's a little bit of trouble. Oh, okay. All right, interesting.
No mercy.
Over the Memorial Day weekend, LeBron was spotted riding a bike through the streets of LA as fans shouted out to him while he was taking a video on his phone. So, Shannon, do you like LeBron out riding a bike in the streets of West Hollywood, just connecting with the people? What do you think?
Now, Skip, this is something I used to do a lot. I used to go out for about 3 or 4 hours and go about 60, 70 miles on the weekend. But it's really dangerous, Skip, to ride in traffic. Unless you can get to a secluded area where you don't have to come in contact with cars, it's very dangerous. And I get it that LeBron has always talked about his love for bikes because he rode to practice and he rode to school some. But he needs to be careful with this because it's not like a car, and sometimes people don't see you like they see cars.
Shannon, during this quarantine, people in LA are driving crazier and faster than ever because there are fewer cars on the roads. But West Hollywood, if you know it, is very congested. There are no real bike lanes. What are you doing, LeBron?
No.
This is as dangerous as riding a motorcycle or bungee jumping or skydiving. It should be against language in your contract. LeBron, 1 block from your house in Brentwood, there's San Vicente with one of the great bike lanes in the United States. It goes right down to the ocean and back. Why don't you ride that or do what Shannon does? Ride a stationary bike in your backyard. Do something that would protect you. This is lunacy. I couldn't believe it when I saw this, and I fear for LeBron if he does this again.
Yeah, Skip, I just, like I said, I used to ride on the street, but it just got too dangerous. I didn't feel comfortable because you're going fast. Cars don't realize how fast bikes are going. They pull out in front of you, and then you go over the top of it. Now, he's just out for a Sunday cruise, but I would feel a lot more comfortable if he was in an area that was designated for bikes as opposed to a major street. And I don't care if it's West Hollywood, Brentwood, or wherever. get somewhere where that's conducive for bites.
What are you doing in West Hollywood, LeBron? I don't know. Maybe Shannon knows something that I don't.
God, there you go. See, there you go, starting stuff. Skip, let that go, man. I don't know nothing.
That is it for Undisputed. Thank you guys for joining us. Happy Memorial Day. We're going to be back same time tomorrow morning. Have a good day, guys.